Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Krishna Sankirtan ki jai. So, first, in talking about book distribution, because we're talking about the Christmas Marathon, I wanted to speak about the development of the Christmas Marathon. And it actually happened by accident when devotees were distributing books. In December, stores were staying open late. People were in a very good mood. They were very generous, and stores were very crowded. Malls were very crowded. So spontaneously, the devotees stayed out late. One, maybe like on the 22nd or something, it might have been a Friday. Everybody stayed out till like 11, 12 o'clock, just naturally, because it was so good, and the stores were staying open those last few days. Very late, so the devotees decided, well, the next few days till Christmas we'll stay out late. And that was the beginning of the Christmas Marathon, and then it expanded. I believe the next year we did it for a week, and then 10 days, then 2 weeks. And what we would do is basically close down all the departments in the temple, and all the devotees would go out. So that took some evolution over time. But the idea was that it was so good for book distribution at that time of year. It was very easy to distribute books. And so not everyone has a chance to distribute books. We have different services. There's different departments that must go on that are essentially important. But as far as possible, in December, we closed everything down. And everyone who could go out would go out. And that was the focus. So that's the idea of a Christmas marathon, is just to take advantage of like a super opportunity for book distribution that you normally wouldn't have. And kind of, you could say, an excuse to distribute lots of books and get a lot of devotees engaged and make big goals. So we would make big goals at that time. And the goals were helpful. Not that we are going out, not thinking about people, but just looking as people as objects who could take a book and give a donation to help us make our goal. That could happen, and sometimes it does happen. But the idea is, because there was a goal, there was an impetus to reach the goal. So we would make goals, and we would stay out long hours, and we were excited, and the excitement paid off, and we got better at distributing books just by our excitement and enthusiasm. And gradually we realized that perhaps more important than anything, it was our enthusiasm, not our technique. Of course, technique helps. But when people felt good with us, when they felt comfortable with us, they felt they could trust us, they felt inspired by us, they liked us, most importantly, they liked us, sometimes for no other reason, just because they liked us, they'd say, okay, I'll take a book. I'll give you a donation. Now, sometimes we would distribute some marathons, like thousands and thousands and tens of thousands and maybe millions of Back to God hits. Not as many big books, obviously, but huge numbers of Back to God hits. And also in America in those days, in airports, we would distribute huge numbers of big books. And then the question came up, well, are people reading them? And so there was some doubt, is this really important? Should we do this? And one of the things we're finding now, at least in America, is a lot of the books are being read by people who gave their books, people who got the books in the 70s, who gave their books to their kids, or now even their grandkids. So we always would say the books, even if you think no one's going to read the books are better situated in somebody's house than in our warehouse. So I think that's obvious. And sometimes we would call the books time bombs because we didn't know who was going to be the person to read them. And we had this sense that the world was going to get worse, and people would become more interested. And when things get bad in life, people become interested in spirituality. So Prabhupada would encourage us that, just get them out. Someone will read them someday. And then he would say that everyone will be purified by reading the books, reading a paragraph, reading even a sentence, reading even one word, touching the book, because Prabhupada said it's Krishna. And so we want everyone to read the books. Many devotees have formed reading clubs where they invite people or invite people to other programs and so forth. At the same time, Prabhupada just wanted people to have the book. It would purify their house. So that's there. That's not the ultimate goal. We want people to read and understand Prabhupada's words. But it wasn't that we were discriminating. Well, I don't think this person is going to read the book, or I don't think they're that interested, so I'm not going to give them a book. It would be a waste. That consideration could be there, but Prabhupada didn't want us to have it because you don't know that person and you don't know who that person knows or where that book would end up. So our mood was always, let us distribute as many books as we can to as many people as possible, and by the law of averages, if there's more books out, more people will have access to them and more people will read them. And so Prabhupada stressed the importance of it. Sometimes he would say things like, I don't know what the result will be, but my Guru Maharaj asked me to do this, so I do it. So at some point in our consciousness was this idea that, okay, well, I distribute 100 books. I don't know if anybody's going to read them. And Prabhupada's saying, I also don't know, but I know this is what my Guru Maharaj wanted, so I'm doing it. It's what he wanted, so I do it. Okay, that's part of the program. And sometimes, we think too much. Well, maybe it isn't good to do this or that, or maybe in 2022, things are different. And that thinking is not bad. Things are different, and there's different ways to do things and different strategies to preach. At the same time, we understand that Prabhupada had stressed book distribution so much that it's our duty to continue with it and expand it. And that we connect deeply with Prabhupada because it's one of his deepest desires. Essential foundational programs of ISKCON is book distribution. So that's the mood we go out in, with that heart that I'm connected now with Prabhupada, with his desire. It's like I've become one with Prabhupada. And when I set out on the street and carry his books, I should know that Prabhupada is present, he's watching. And with every person that I approach, you should know, whether they take a book or not, Prabhupada is pleased. And I think you can feel that, especially when they take a book, you feel some transcendental pleasure, which is the pleasure of Prabhupada, that I'm serving Prabhupada. So if you want to come close to Prabhupada, this is a fantastic way to do that. If you want to meditate on Prabhupada, it's a fantastic way to do it. And the last thing I would say is this. I was, many years ago, not many, maybe 7, I went to Australia, and I was staying at the home of a devotee, and the devotee had a very nice microphone, and I had a little recorder, and I thought, it would be nice if I just record all the verses of the Gita in English, just to have it, and I can share that with devotees. Like you could listen, it doesn't take very long to read them all, and you could listen to a chapter a day. So I was reading a chapter a day, and I was getting very inspired, and there was a Sankirtan party there. This was in Sydney. And I was saying that every day I'm reading, and as I'm reading, I'm feeling inspired by Krishna's words, that I'd like to share these words. So one of the best things you can do to motivate you to distribute Prabhupada's books is, yes, read them, because you'll be excited about what's in the books. And when you're excited about what's in the books, you're going to be able to excite other people. So that's very important. Don't be going out every day and not reading what you're giving people. The salesman has to love the product. If he loves the product, people will love it. Hare Krishna. Thank you. All glories to Prabhupada.